I am thrilled to announce that I've just hit 20,001 now subscribers on this YouTube channel. So I wanted to make a video just talking a little bit about some of the thoughts and lessons I've learned since starting this channel back in 2020. The first and most important thing that I'd like to mention is that I have absolutely loved and absolutely hated having this YouTube channel. Nothing personal against any of you fuckers, just that there was these real wave, ups and downs in terms of how much I felt capable of running this channel and how much I felt like an absolute nonsense talking fraud. And one of the things that has been most difficult about this channel is as I started to gain some amount of popularity, and we hear this all the time, it started to become harder to make content the more people engaged with it. And I think one of the reasons why is because of the fact that it stopped being about, in those early days, for many of you guys who have been here since the Bitwig beginning, I would just open up the screen, whatever it was I was doing in Bitwig, and I'd have like a rough thread of an idea of what it was I wanted to explore in that particular session, and I would just talk through it. And also in those days I really didn't know how to edit videos, so I used to just post the whole thing. And obviously I would maybe record a couple of times if I did fuck up or if the thing that I was showing failed. But in general, I would just sort of talk with no real plan or filter. And I definitely got a lot of feedback from people in those early videos. They said, I love how slow these are. I love how you're not doing all of this crazy editing and fancy bish bash bosh headlines popping up and explosions and all that. But the irony then came as that people started enjoying that content and I started developing a bigger audience around the videos that I was making, with which came this belief that, okay, well, if there's more people, I need to raise the production quality of these videos. And I also then started learning what I did not know. The classic thing of the more you learn, the more you realize that you have to learn. And so I started seeing all of these videos about, okay, well, how do I do jump cuts? How do I do engagement, metric, fucking editing? And nothing ever about that really sat right with me. And I'm sure a lot of you who have been here since the absolute beginning will see that there was a real burst of making videos in the early days where I used to make a lot of stuff. It felt easy to make videos. I think because there was just so much I had to share, so much that I was excited about in those early days of like really falling in love with Bitwig myself. But as time went on and I started having to think, okay, well, what can I teach? Like, fuck, what is there to share? It started to just become like a bit overwhelming every time to sit down and think like, okay, well, what would be an engaging video topic? And I don't want to ever say anything that I've already said before because God forbid somebody think I'm not 100% original all the time. At which point, that overwhelm started to interfere with my ability to make videos at all. And so, again, for any of you who've been here since the beginning, you will know that there had been a pretty consistent pattern to the Tash Teachers channel where it was like, hello, I'm Tash and welcome back to another blah, 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 blah video. I'd post 3 of those in a week and then I'd dip for 5 or 6 months. And largely that came around the fact that I would have these little bursts of energy and I would just shoot it all out. And I wouldn't allow myself to stagger the release of this content. And so I would overwhelm myself. I would burn out. Just checking that the camera isn't overly bright here. So anyways, posting these videos started to get kind of tricky, and I started going from this position of like, okay, well, I'm excited about this thing that I would like to share with whoever cares about it, to, okay, well, what do the people who care about the things that I like, what do they want to see? And this goes back to the video I made a couple of days ago when I was talking about leading with your heart rather than your head. It's the same as I was talking about with music. It was making this content. And this then led to the situation of being like, trying to anticipate what you guys would like. And not even just you guys, but trying to anticipate what the people on YouTube who don't know me yet would like. Therefore, that I can engage more and all of these metrics can be fucking rocketing to the moon. And at that point, it didn't necessarily become like, okay, well, I want to have a YouTube channel so that I can be famous. But it did become about the fact that it's like, I need to be growing. I need to be getting more views, more likes, more subscribers, or else the videos I'm making are failing. And I say that now with a sort of retrospective understanding of it. And I don't think that's what I was literally thinking in the moment. But there was definitely this sense of the fact that if each video I posted didn't do better than the one before, then it wasn't doing well. I was actually failing. And if a video did worse than that one, well, that would in many ways like throw me off wanting to do it. And I'd be like, oh, fuck it. Like a kid throw my toys out the pram and go back to making music. So I guess my main point here is that any time I tried to approach this YouTube channel as how do I create content, and I see this talked about all the time these days, that you don't want to be a content creator, you want to be an artist and all of that kind of shit. And I very much agree with that if you approach whatever it is you're doing as content, the decisions that you will make will be far more driven by what you think are smart business decisions as opposed to just genuine interest or love or passion. And whether it's music, whether it's content, whether it's, I don't know, fashion, I can't really speak to that, but I imagine it's kind of similar. The things that will ultimately nourish you and keep you going for the longest are the ones that give you life, that make you feel excited. And to hell with what other people think. The irony is, of course, that many of the times when you just do what nourishes you and brings you joy, a lot of people will like that. And I think it also just goes to show that the video that I posted yesterday about why you don't need social media to succeed in music is me exploring a new realm of content. And to further explain, just to where maybe I can get out of the light a little bit, to further explain my thought process around this new realm of content, one of the things that has made this YouTube channel so difficult to maintain is just the amount of subconscious fear I have around of saying the wrong thing. Not the wrong thing as in, pissing off an entire social demographic and then being burnt at the stake for it, but I mean the wrong thing as in not saying consistently over the space of a 12-minute video the smartest, funniest, wittiest, most on-point thing. God forbid I say something that is anything less than the wisest thing I've ever said. And I know that sounds absolutely loony to imagine, but that is a very real fear that comes up with this video. Something that I don't necessarily have as much with music. Music feels a lot easier for me to just create something, and I make stuff I love all the time. I'm pretty confident to say that music is just an easy avenue for me to express myself. But when it comes to these videos, whether it's educational in the sense of some of the more talky ones I've done, like about belief systems or about how to be a happier artist, those ones required, most of the time, me to sit down and write a speech and with a, I don't know what you say, with a fine tooth comb, go through and just make sure that every turn of phrase was super witty and on point. And then when I filmed it, I'd have to make sure, because I wanted to do it in a single take, and I was using a teleprompter, mind, I would have to make sure that the delivery was perfect. If there was any subtle nuance that wasn't delivered in like the up-down pitch expressiveness of a sentence, I would do it again. I would start the whole thing again. Last year I posted a video called Being Yourself Online is Terrifying, something to that extent, and I kind of touched on this and said how the fact that it was exhausting trying to be perceived as this fucking wise teacher pissing guru man, and that frankly I really enjoyed just talking off the cuff. And a number of the comments I got from you guys were that, well, we like that too. We like you for who you are, but we also like that too. So don't go throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And to that, I would say that it's ironic how much more content I would have made. Content, there we go again. How much more value I could have potentially delivered to this YouTube channel if I had stopped, or from an earlier point realized that there is value in just talking. And also the fact that now I am trying to get okay with perhaps talking in circles for 30 seconds while I try and get my voice out. That's taken time, to be honest. If I had just earlier on started doing this, who knows, maybe we would have got here a lot quicker. Yesterday I was in the ocean with a friend and we were discussing this new idea that I'd had, and he'd seen the video I posted the day before. Gotta look at that, I'm becoming so continuous here. Hold me to this. I'm going to do a video every day this week. But anyways, he had said something along the lines of the fact that he really appreciated that in the video I swore and I made mistakes. And he said that the thing about that is that it feels far more like you're hanging out with a friend. Obviously, it's a friend that won't shut up and doesn't give you any chance to speak, and in fact insists that you respond to them through comment form. But I think what he says has a really good point, which is that a lot of the content that we are used to in this day and age on YouTube, on Instagram, but let's specifically talk about YouTube, is this like highly manicured, edited, scripted, engineered video experience that has the express purpose of maintaining your attention with cuts and music and sounds and clicks and all of these kind of things. And I, for one, know that I'm not immune to that. It works on me. Like, I still find myself going on a little YouTube binge and watching a bunch of stuff about why this compressor is the best compressor ever made, or 6 reasons why Hitman 3 is the worst Hitman game. I don't know. I really can't think off the top of my head, but these aren't things that I care about. I don't give a fuck throughout the day. However, I find myself clicking on them, and if not watching the whole video, skipping through, because of the fact that they have been engineered to grab my attention. The thumbnail, all that kind of stuff. And so I think what I've found is that there is a certain value in when I come across somebody who is just talking, and talking like a person would. If you were hanging out with a friend and every 5 seconds they did some sort of like engagement, what do you call it, like a pattern interrupt, and when you hung out with a friend they turned up at your front door and they were like, hook, and then with that hook it would be exhausting. And so there's something to be said about this new format that I would like to explore. Don't get me wrong, I still will probably occasionally make some sort of video that requires a bit more effort than me just sitting and talking to a camera. But if there is a way for me to be able to continue to connect with people over the internet that requires less of me pulling my hair out and less time spent editing when I could be going to the beach, but at the same time still connecting with people, I'm into it. I'm all for that shit. I also see nowadays that the whole notion of creating content is so driven around trying to maintain some sense of mystery. Not even mystery, but trying to maintain some sense of grasp that you are this ideal, perfect artist. Obviously, this goes into the entirety of influencing and online presence in itself, but there's something quite liberating about me making a mistake when I'm talking in these videos. There's something quite thrilling about the idea of not editing out a back pedal. It's almost as if it feels a little naughty, like I'm going against the way social media was meant to be used. And so for that, I'm really digging it, I have to say. But yeah, just wanted to make this quick video to say how much I appreciate all of your guys' support with the 20,001. Let's have a look to see, in fact, if we've now increased to 20,002. No, we've lost a subscriber. How wonderful. Well, in fact, that's even better, because now I can actually call this video we've just hit 20,000.